Hello everyone, my name is Kirti Chandra and welcome to the YouTube channel Architectural Education. Today we are here to learn about design process. Design process is nothing but a concept or a schematic layout stage which lies in between the final proposal and the pre-design activities. So pre-design activities are such as documentation of case studies or site analysis and other things, and the final drafting which is there. So in between these there is a bridge which is gapping, which gives a shape to our design. So today we are going to talk about a few examples of how schematics are being done. We'll try to understand that with few examples. So let us start with the session. First aspect is pre-design aspect. In pre-design aspect, you might have covered literature study. What is literature study? It's a study based off documents in which you have studied research papers or newspaper articles or any other kind of documented work which is available online, offline, or anywhere. So basically the word itself is telling you literature means a collection of all the literature whatever is written is recorded over there. So first one we have already done that one. Next one is desktop study. Desktop study is nothing but a first attempt to understand our own project. For suppose if you guys are designing a resort, so very first attempt will be that you go online and you try to search for a resort which is having some unique feature over there. It might have won certain awards or it might have done certain unique selling thing over there. So you will try to identify that desktop study based on certain justification. So you have to start looking for that. Next one would be the live case study. In live case study, you will go to site, you will speak to the local custodians over there, you will speak to the managerial or operation management happening over there. So in that process, what happens? You prepare a questionnaire, you prepare a checklist, you take the photographs live. You might take the photograph at 180 degrees panorama rather than taking it in a portrait or in landscape. So you can do something over there like documentation and other thing. You go over there, you see things practically, and then you come back and you document it, analyze it. So these are all a case study part. Next one would be the comparative analysis. Whenever you have done certain case studies, either it is live or through online, so what happens? You have to compare all the things, putting things parallel to each other. So you must have to make a tabular column. In tabular column you can put the first series with case study 1, case study 2, case study 3, and you can also include standards over there. And at the last one you can put an inference. So the parameters based on which what you can do is could be the area requirements over there. In the comparative analysis, you have something called as tangible and non-tangible. Tangible things which are measurable. For example, when you go to case studies, I'm talking about comparative analysis. So tangible things which are recorded, which are measured. So those are the tangible things. Non-tangible such as which are slightly difficult to be recorded. For example, experiences. For example, goodwill. For example, level of excitement. So all these things, for example, if you are having a resort and you are going to give a space for general people to have an view of element of surprise, so we can't measure such things, but we can note it down that certain elements of surprise are being put as soon as you cross the information kiosk or as soon as you go towards the cottage and you will have a view over there. There are many resorts which are done with different ideology, different ways, or in other words I can say every resort tries to implement its own unique selling point. So maybe you can also try working in those lines. So the next one will be site analysis. We have already seen in our previous sessions how to do micro site analysis and macro site analysis. So you can look into those videos. And last one, comparative site analysis. Comparative site analysis means what? You take one site and you try to analyze it. Maybe you realize after analyzing that the site is not appropriate or it might require certain other elements. Then you might go to another site. So that is what happens over there actually on the site. So what happens over here is maybe this site is not suitable or the location of the other site is more suitable. So you have to start comparing the site by taking an option over there. And last one is area statements. You have to derive the area statements based on your comparative analysis of your case studies and your live case studies or your desktop case studies and standards. if you could see the comparative analysis, the parameters are nothing but the areas which are given, through which what will we find out? What are the spatial requirements and how much area is required for that space. These are the two main aspects of area statements. Now let us go to the next session. Conventional planning process. In conventional planning process, you might see certain things which are in a linear format. So they go with a process, they go with a sequence. So that sequence includes identification of problems and opportunities. You know that when you are designing a resort, you might have seen a problem where barrier free could have been not provided efficiently, or you can see an opportunity where you can say that the local custodians are having economical imbalances and you want to generate the revenue over there. So that can become an opportunity for you to utilize the custodians and also give them an opportunity. At the same time, you can educate the visitors coming to your site. So in that way, you can connect two different elements, that is the visitor and the custodian, local custodian of that region, in a way. And then you start establishing your goals. Goals are what? Goals are something which you want to achieve in a project. So maybe if you are designing a resort, then you might have an achievement towards that. I want to save environment, or I want to save the plantation. I want to protect the natural landform which is over there. I want to make sure that none of the trees are being cut. As you know that government doesn't allow anybody to cut a tree until the government has realized that it is obstructing the growth of anything or it is having any problem over there. Inventory of biophysical environment. Here what happens over there is you might have certain elements available at the site in terms of biodiversity or in terms of natural resources. So you have to understand what is it having over there. So for suppose if there is a undisturbed landform over there at your site, so you have to use it as an opportunity to have a trekking. If you have a water body which is collected over there in the rainy season, you have to make it as an opportunity to make it like a boating area, or try to make it like a water area, or try to make it, if you have a landform which is very much complex, then you might actually try to utilize it as a seating area over there. Human community inventory. Now you have to understand that the site is having an inventory. What else our human community will require over there? For example, bonfires, restaurants, and other things. So you have to understand that a restaurant developed over there should not contradict the natural inventory over there. So you have to understand that a open air theater constructed over there will not disturb the landform over there. So you have to first understand the natural inventory and you have to develop based on that. But at the same time, you have to make sure human inventory, that is our requirements for sports, for play courts, for trekking, for bird watching, for any kind of boating or any other zip line or cable car, whatever you are trying to propose, it has to have suitability for natural to accept it. develop Development of concept and selection of option. So you have to start developing a concept. We will definitely see a brief definition of concept, ideas, schemes, and other things, and but the thing is you have to start developing it, and then you have to select an option out of it as an adoption of plan. Community involvement and education. This is what happens next stage after we, or the students of architecture or any young architect, when they design, that is what will happen. Community inventory and community involvement and education. So in community involvement, what happens, the community is being sit to, I mean the people who are designers, they sit with the community or the custodians, local custodians, and then they discuss with them, they take their opinion, they try to share their advances in the design problem, and then they go ahead with that. After deciding, after concluding with the community, and after understanding the natural inventory, and after understanding the human inventory necessity in that site, we start getting the detailed drawings of it. Next one is plan implementation and administration. So there are other stages over here also, like maintenance, operation, and other things, but for the time being we'll try to understand till this process. In schematic design layout, what happens is we try to develop a rough categorization of spaces and their activities. We try to develop a network between those activities also. So in that process, what happens is we understand what activity is placed over there. For example, parking is placed. So what activity is placed in that place as a parking, how much it is required, what is the influence of that in the surrounding area. Many people, what they do, as soon as they put the entrance arch or entrance gate, they put the parking over there. Many people, what they do, they try to conceal the parking area. So it depends upon your design. You want to show that you have a parking area, that yes, we do have parking area, or you want to conceal it and make sure that the greenery is being visible. So it all depends upon your design. Now next one is evolution. What do you mean by the word evolution? Evolution means it is a design arise from earlier forms and undergo changes over a long period and time through selection. So what happens over here? You try to transform something from one state to another state. That is nothing but evolution, evolving. How do you evolve? Change is the one thing which you are which is a sign that you are evolving. So that change can be happening in the one which is existing, or there is nothing and you are trying to innovate over there. For example, you can be telling in a way that evolution is nothing but it's a process which includes rectifying or innovating. Rectifying the defects which are there existing, and innovating the one which you are trying to propose over there or superimpose over there. So superimposition could be a good thing or could not be a good thing. For example, there is a resort and you are trying to superimpose your own idea or preconceived idea, which might not fit into the site. But at the same time, many times it can fit also. So you have to understand what are your aim over there. You are retrofitting, you are rectifying, or you are trying to innovate over there. Idea generation. It all starts with an idea. So what is an idea? An idea is a thought or suggestion. So for example, if there is a canteen and the chef over there suddenly comes out and gives a new dish to everyone, so that's an idea. Your guys are hanging out with your friends and suddenly one guy says, chalo, let's hang out at a tea stall. It's an idea. So what is happening over here? You are trying to add something to that. So that can be a little bit uh, complementary also. The definition of an idea is a thought, belief, opinion, or plan. So it can be any of these. Next one is concept. Concept is also an idea, but it's an abstract idea generally used by architects to show that there is a spread or there is a common idea throughout the site. Many people take their concept as sustainability. So maybe the concept of sustainability is spread throughout the site. And all these concepts, let it be sustainability, biomimicry, visual, playing with lights and shadows, anything. But all these things that shows a orientation towards something on the other side. So what is that something on the other side? Is the site. So your orientation should match, or your imposition should match the necessity of the site. You cannot superimpose a high profile skyscraper in a hilly region. Maybe it doesn't matches over there, or maybe it matches, but the thing is, you have to understand if there is a complication in the topography, you have to start utilizing your design aspects also in that way. If there is a complication in the temperature or climatic conditions over there, you have to start imposing your design in a pattern which tries to modify or which tries to control the microclimate of that. If your site is telling you that it requires a lot of biodiversity to be preserved, then your design has to replicate in that way. So that is where the ideas of or the concepts of biomimicry or sustainability fall into place. And finally, many people ask this question, that what is design? Let us see that. It is a process of creating objects, space, system, and policy. I'm designing a policy. That's a good point. That's not wrong. Designing a system. So many people, many times, HVAC or MEP consultant, they try to design a system in which wastage can be reduced. designing a space like how architects do, designing an object like an artist does. So here what is design? Design can be done by anything, an artist, a technical person, a creative person, a person who is actually technical and creative both at the same time. What is to serve a predetermined purpose or an objective. So what is the predetermination? That my site is a resort and it is having complications with the contour, or it is having a lot of things over there, or it is not at all having any of the complications. So I would like to add some complication over there, maybe to encourage people over there. For example, many times what happens, the site surrounding is having a different environment and we tend to add a environment over there. For example, maybe in Dubai or any other Gulf country where there is barren, I mean a lot of sandy area, they might actually try to introduce vegetational coverage over there. Yes, it's a good idea, but at what cost? So you have to understand at that one also. You can build a house in the space or water or even at the edge of the hill also. But the only thing is how much, at what cost do we want to do that? Next one, to solve one or more specified problems. Many times what happens, you have a problem with climatic condition, the climate is not suitable, or you might have problem that there is a water fluctuation over there, or you might have problem with many other things. To enhance the quality of environment of the delineated site. So maybe that quality of environment. Maybe you are designing a resort because there, for example, maybe you are designing a resort so that you can generate certain revenue for the tribal people over there. So you are trying to develop over there, but at the same time you have to take precautions that you are not disturbing their environment, because the tribal community may be existing over there because of that environment, and you make a resort to spoil that environment. Ultimately you are, so there is ecosystem which is over there. You have to start respecting that. So on a broader thing, in this one, what did we learn? We learned the basic thing, that idea. What is idea? Something which pops up. Concept. What we are going to use it throughout our site. Let us see a few ideas also, like biomimicry or sustainability, playing with lights and shadows, or any other aspect with the building envelope or site. Here is one example of schematic layout. Let us see with this example. This is done by Michael Creeley. So here you can see that there is a master plan over here, and he has started developing certain things like local or district centers over here. Local or district centers like shops, community centers over here. So what is it demarcated with? It is demarcated with this red color. So he might have placed it at certain locations over here. Again, this is a type of schematic layout in which he is just explaining the scheme, that how he has placed those elements over there for the local districts like shops and other things, and how they are having a network with each other. Is there anything intermediate among them? So that is it. So here we have one thing. Second one, you can find it over here, is green lungs, possibly extension shown. So you can see that there is a green lung over here. Disclaimer, I am not explaining you how the site analysis of this thing has been done. I am just explaining you what is schematic layout and how to put it on a paper. So maybe the consequences over here might have told him to do it till this point. So you can see the green lungs over here. So you can see the notes over here. Key improved pedestrian linkage. Can you see this format? Dot dot arrow mark. So maybe these are the key movement over here. I hope you can see the black color. And here also there is a key movement over here. Then have key vehicular route. Where is the key vehicular route? I hope you can find it over here. So what did he do? He has identified the important places. For example, if you guys are designing a resort, so you can also place certain elements like information kiosk location or restaurant location, cottages location, and then you can show it with the vehicular movement, pedestrian movement, how they are being tracked, put an arrow mark, give a shape to that building, try to connect it to the area statement and give a proportionate space over there in this kind of plan to explain your scheme. But make sure you write everything over there, why you have connected that pathway, why you have connected that vehicular movement, or why you have placed that building over there. Write it over there. Many times what happens is you think it in the mind but you do not put it on the paper, and suddenly when the jury member questions you and you start giving the answer based on his questions, and rather than you forget why you have put it over there. So always tend to write what is that and why you have kept it over here. So these are the two aspects. It's always good in schematic layout. So if you see over here again, improved vehicle and pedestrian link together. Okay, maybe there are certain locations, for example, I think you can see it over here, certain locations where there is a what do we say, interconnection between a pedestrian and a vehicular movement. This is one more example where I think it's a competition project by Ismail Beneri. So in this competition project, he has tried to use certain natural forms which is existing over there, and he has tried to connect it to his design proposal. So you can see over here certain white desert skyline which is there, and then how he has tried to project it on the. So here what we are trying, it is a little bit like a biomimicry. I think it is written over here properly. What is he doing? He is making the biotic agents over here. So what is happening over there? So he has tried to take the same shape. Why? Because that shape was fluent over here. Second example would be animal live in caves for shelter. So what he has done, he has provided all the residences over there. Units look like caves. If it would have been any other person, he might have taken exactly the shape of a tortoise just by cutting down his hands into residential complexes, his body into an administration block or office block, and his head into and so and so. And he might have given a chopper to the shell of that tortoise. So what happened over here? He did not exactly replicate it. He understood the concept of animals taking shelter, and then he has given the same shelter to the buildings. Next one would be snail shell to reduce heat inside. So he has taken the idea that how a snail is using the shell to affect or to change its own microclimate by having multiple layers of shells on his body. So with that thing, he might have idea unit's roof is made of multiple layers. It's a very common trend or a requirement in most of the hot and dry regions that you should have a building covering or a building envelope which is on the outer surface of the building. So in that case, what happens, if there are two layers for the building, the heat retention will be higher. This is one more example given by Osman Talat. So in this one, if you could see, he has started with a freehand sketches. Just he has drawn certain oval shape, and then maybe he has looked it with an axis of this movement, vehicular movement, or the surrounding road, or the climatic conditions, and then he has tried to connect it, and he has tried to give it a reasonable shape out of it. How the curvilinear is actually fluctuating between the built and the unbuilt or open spaces. So wherever it is built, he is trying to replicate the similar shape over there. And then he has come out with an idea that how a curvilinear is spread throughout the site. So that is where our idea or concept is there, where you actually try to implement something which is required for the site. and then you put it over there. So that is nothing but design process. So in that design process, you should come out with a final outcome through schematic layout. So this is all about schematic layout or design process. So in today's thing, what we have covered is these aspects. Pre-design aspects, we have just gone through conventional planning processes. What is the conventional planning process and what is schematic design layout? And in schematic design layout, we have seen 2-3 examples of it. So with this, I'll close today's session. Thank you guys, and please do like and subscribe if you like my channel. Thank you.